You know what practically everybody is wrong about? Something I've been thinking a lot about lately is the nature of belief, and in particular the way belief and doubt function in our culture as indicators of who counts as a genuinely intelligent person. And I want to give you a way of thinking about it that I've found helpful, and I hope you will too. We can talk about what you might call our cognitive goal. And that's just sort of a fancy way of talking about the point of thinking. We do all kinds of thinking, we do it all the time, we form beliefs, we have doubts, we have questions. What is the point of thinking? What is our cognitive goal? It's really twofold, right? One part of our cognitive goal is to believe truth, right? We want to believe things that are true. Another part of our cognitive goal is to avoid error. That would be the ideal, would be to believe all the true stuff and disbelieve all the false stuff. That would make us like perfect thinkers. Of course, none of us are actually perfect thinkers. We're going to err in one direction or the other. And what I want to point out to you is that it's possible to err in both directions, but we don't always notice that. The error that we tend to be very conscious of is the error of believing too much. I mean, look, one way you could fulfill this goal is simply to believe absolutely everything. You could try to make yourself believe everything that anyone ever tells you, and if you did that, that'd be kind of good because you would have achieved a whole bunch of true beliefs. So, great job. Problem is, along the way, you would have picked up a whole bunch of false beliefs as well. We might say the danger here is that you wind up being a sucker. You just believe everything that anybody ever tells you. And a lot of people think that's intellectually the worst thing that you can do is to be a sucker. I agree that that's bad, but I want to suggest that it's also bad to be a cynic. Another way you can mess up intellectually is by failing to believe true things that you ought to believe. That's no good either. It's intellectually respectable in our culture, the way being a sucker isn't. But being a cynic is not a good thing either. That's also a way of falling short of our cognitive goal. Suppose you want an example of what this might look like in practice. One way of being a sucker is to believe every anonymous email that you receive. You ever get a message from somebody claiming to be a Nigerian prince who has inherited $10 million and all they need is some information about an American bank account so they can transfer the funds, and then if you'll be willing to help them out that way, like they'll split the money with you? I've got bad news for you. If you've got that email in your inbox, it's probably not true. And in fact, I think that you ought to be very careful. I think you ought to be cautious, and you ought to err on the side of doubting that rather than believing it, right? You don't want to be a sucker in that case. On the other hand, you could imagine somebody calling into question the affection of your closest friend, perhaps even the love of your spouse. You're going to err in one direction or the other, presumably, right? Unless you're a perfect thinker, in which case, congratulations, and you don't need a video like this. But if you're like the rest of us, you're going to err either in the direction of believing too easily in something or disbelieving too quickly in something. And here I want to suggest that being a cynic is a much worse danger. You don't want to immediately disbelieve in the love of your spouse the moment somebody raises a question about it. That would be really bad too, right? Being a cynic can be dangerous and harmful in the same way that being a sucker can be dangerous and harmful. What we want to strive for is a healthy balance of the two. Let's strive to be wise. Let's strive to be people who ask good questions, who think through our beliefs, who do seek to avoid error, but who also seek to believe what's true.